steering wheel. Lapse the steering wheel, yeah. Give him steering wheel. Hey, steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to him. Come on! Whoa!
Your leg, my please. Your leg.
How the f*** that's possible?
I'm driving like a grandma. Get that, Ralph? Did you hear me? Proper radio. Ralph, acknowledge. Now, come on, close him down and kill him. We've got a lunatic on the track. Down that interstate.
I am so annoyed. Boys and girls, your attention, please.
Hello and welcome inside the Park for Mayor for podcast number 1002. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
AKA Negative Camera. You know what I need you to do tonight?
You must convince the villagers that I'm harmless.
I mean, why not? I am harmless. Tonight, I know it's the summer break, and I know everybody went home and rolled up the sidewalks, but we do not. We power through it. Even in the winter, we keep going. That's why we have 1002 podcasts for crying out loud. Tonight, for your kind consideration, we're talking about Grace and I's dear friend and avid listener, Stefano, and his thoughts on Star Wars and the Formula One. We're going to be talking about the Bahrain Grand Prix. Going to be talking about, what better topic than to talk about cost caps? We all love cost caps, and we're going to be talking about those too. But before really doing any of that, I got to bring in my co-host, which means I have to go all the way to the right coast of our nation, nestled near, but not in, our nation's capital. You know her, you love her, the lovely, the redoubtable.
Grace!
Grace, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, Todd. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Just making it, just
Every day. Living the dream, right?
Living the
Get
dream,
up,
man.
Keep doing, repeat tomorrow.
That's it. I tell you, I'm feeling a little bad, if I can be honest. Can I be honest with all of you?
It's just you and me. It's fine.
It's just you and me. Right. I'm feeling a little bad for Paul. And I'll tell you why. Because Road America Elkhart is one of my favorite, if not the favorite track in America.
Sure.
And they changed the IMSA race to a 6-hour race. And I'd love them to do a 24 there. But they changed it to 6-hour. Paul was so excited going up there. And it turns out the Valkyrie was set for a P2 finish. And the GT3 car was leading for almost all the race, then got shuffled back from pit stops, but was going to finish P4, P3 possibly. And both cars at the end of the race under yellow, it finishes under yellow. And like the last lap, there's a drive-through for the Valkyrie and a drive-through for the Vantage. And they were all bunched up, so that's like 30 some odd seconds. Right. It puts them all the way to the back. I felt so bad for Paul.
That's terrible.
But I also got to, you are a cat lover. I love cats too, but I'm a dog person. And I do got to throw a very heartfelt condolences to Paul because his beloved dog Alfie has passed on. And if any of you are dog lovers out there, that's like losing a family member. And
absolutely,
we always say, God, the dog is just, unconditional. We don't deserve
right
that.
On cue.
Yeah, I know. You can hear them. There they go.
That's good.
I know. So anyway, Paul, our deepest condolences. Alfie was awesome. And so anyway, there you go. For dog lovers out there, I know you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, for the Formula One, shall we talk about the Formula One?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about it. Tonight, I thought we would just ease into the conversation. I know everybody's been all haterade and rage baiting and everything else on the socials about this topic, but I thought we'd take a stand, a step back, let the dust settle, and then come in and try to have a cogent discussion about it. But it is about Stefano Domenicali and George Lucas and the argument about what Formula One actually, what it's selling.
Okay.
So here's what we know, folks. What we know is Domenicali was asked about the battery and energy deployment graphics. They just kind of disappeared from the TV broadcast. Don't see when we're harvesting. Don't see when we're deploying. Don't know nothing. Can't tell. Now, his answer was that nobody is interested in how you drive your car, that people are interested in whether an overtake happens or not, and that this applies to the vast majority of viewers.
Okay.
Yeah. He said he had an incredible conversation with George Lucas at Hungary. You know, George always picks one race and he loiters around. That Lucas gave him a view on how new fans are watching the sport and gave him a chance to see how to simplify things because, let's see, what does it say? New fans do not understand what's going on behind the scenes. He also said that new fans don't understand clipping and that it's too technical for the general audience F1 has now. And the reaction, certainly, as you can imagine, was very negative by a longtime audience, and it was one of the highest volume F1 conversations on social for the past week anyway. And so I thought, okay, this is kind of, all right, this caught me well.
First, I just want to say, I find this is offensive to all fans. Not just longtime fans.
Yeah.
It's basically saying that you're all too dumb to care.
Yeah,
I don't think that has to do with how long I've been watching.
It's almost like the longtime fans, well, screw you, we're not interested in you anymore.
Yeah.
And the new fans, they're saying, you're too dumb to get it.
Right.
You know? So it kind of does two things. So, you know, the context obviously matters. You know, ultimately, let's be honest, folks, this is a product decision, ultimately about their product and the new regulations. Somebody at FOM looked at the deployment graphic and decided it was hurting more than it's helping, and they pulled it. And that's what happened around the narrative. The 2026 formula regulation changes roughly half combustion, half electric, and if you remove that layer that explains it, then the racing looks arbitrary, and the cars slow down on straights for reasons the viewer can't see, et cetera, and it gets confusing if you don't really know what's going on with the car. So, in essence, I think contextually, there's two customers here, and they buy different things is the implication. That the casual viewer arrived through the F1 movie or Drive Survive era and buys attention effectively. And the longtime viewer buys F1 TV, merchandise, hospitality, race tickets, subscriptions to F1 magazines, and they dive into it. So these are the two kind of people that you have.
Okay.
So when you look at that revenue mix, sponsorship passed 20%. I think I have that right. Let me look at my notes. Yeah, 20% of primary revenue for the first time under Liberty's ownership. And hospitality and licensing keep climbing every year. That mix rewards reach, not depth.
Right.
If you think about it.
Yes.
The incentive genuinely does point to the casual fan. That's just what it suggests.
Sure.
And I think it's also worth saying out loud that you know, a telemetry graphic is cheap, inexpensive to do. So removing it is clearly an editorial decision to control the negative narrative that's damaging the appeal of casual fans. And somebody signed off on it to do that. And so now they have to create this narrative around why they did away with that. So this, instead of coming out and saying, yeah, look, this 50-50 power split, it's confusing, clipping, super clipping, all of that stuff's confusing. It doesn't put the sport in its best light. And because it's exposing that we may have got the regulations wrong, we're just going to remove the graphic and change the narrative that nobody gives a damn. And we're going to do that. And we're going to hang this albatross around George Lucas's neck.
So they're gaslighting us.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to forget. We're going to forget that all these things existed. And you're right.
Yeah.
It's just about the overtaking. Cool.
It's just about the overtaking. And remember, okay, so let me go back to longtime viewers, because longtime listeners / viewers, because you probably haven't heard us talk about this, or if you have, it's been a while. Let's go back to older listeners. You'll remember Grace and I talking numerous times about the F1 surveys. Every year or two, you know, F1 magazine survey, Autosport survey, Motorsport survey, various surveys. And they keep taking surveys. And we actually, 1 year, we really unpacked it because, as it turns out, many of you may not know, that surveys is exactly in Grace's wheelhouse. That's what she does.
My day job.
Surveyology. That's her day job.
Surveyology. That's great. That's much better
Yes.
than my actual title.
Yes. Yeah. So if anyone knows about surveys, the art of crafting surveys, how to measure
Survey
surveys,
craft.
it is Grace,
There you
because
go.
she's done this for years, and the customer she does it for is one of the largest corporations in the entire world. Okay.
Nice.
So she knows surveys. So
Yeah.
one year we really kind of spent some time, and I said, Grace, would you mind bringing your knowledge and wisdom on this and really take a deep dive? And we did, and we went through the survey and we talked about it. But one of the things we've harped on all along is these surveys. They always come out and they say, oh, well, see right there, do you want more passing? Yes. And Grace and I was like, no,
Right.
we don't want more passing. We want honest racing. And if the passes happen, that's F1. If you want prolific passing, NASCAR is your sport, because that's part of its DNA. That's what they do. But Formula One is not that. And so they keep coming out. So now Stefano doubling down on fan surveys that overwhelmingly said they want more passing, because the surveys were crafted to produce that result.
And that's also like saying, who doesn't want more dessert?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, of course we all want more passing.
Of course. Yeah.
But that's not really it's the quality of the passing, right? There's nuance to it. It's not just want more, like, do you want more whipped cream? Of course, I always want more whipped cream, but I also don't want to get diabetes. So maybe I eat less whipped cream, right? Like, there's some consequences to that lifestyle.
Yes. And so we've said for years that every survey is just, asking, oh, you want more passing? And it's just BS. It's all BS. But they're doubling down on it. So I thought, okay, skeptic check. If I was going to, okay, so the assumption to attack on this might be F1 is dumbing down the broadcast and abandoning the people who built the audience.
Right.
The counterpoint to that, I always try to be fair and see both sides, but, some of my skeptic check isn't, maybe some of it's biased. But the counterpoint I was thinking is like, okay, maybe he may be describing reality rather than choosing it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If a graphic needs 20 seconds of setup every single time it appears, and it doesn't really teach anybody anything, it just irritates the people who already understand it. So this is sort of, if you really consider it, it's more possibly a design failure.
Yeah, get a new graphic. Right. Why would you, we're not, you know what? It's too complicated, so we're just not going to tell you. We're not going to worry your pretty little heads about it. That's not what we want either, right?
Right.
Build a better graphic.
I was trying to think, okay, I know it's trying to reposition the narrative and negativity around the regulations, but I'm trying to play devil's advocate and say, but what if it isn't? What could it be? Well, it may not. If it's not a narrative strategy, then maybe it's a design failure on the graphics, because they're still too complicated. They need to come up with a more elegant way to explain what's going on track. I guess the counterpoint the other way is that George Lucas is a very strange authority to reach for.
Right.
Of all people. I mean, he's famous for simplifying myth into something sort of universal, I guess, and equally, I would say, famous for over-explaining his own universe until the mystery is dead.
There's no space wizards in Formula One. I mean, right? Like, that's.
I mean, pick your lesson here.
Right. I don't know.
I think George is, I don't know, that's just an odd person to come away and lead your counter-narrative strategy.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, he's talking to Damon Hill and he told me, right? Or I was talking to Jensen Button, or, I don't know. Like,
I was talking to Max Verstappen and he said, this is, okay.
Maybe you should do this. Okay. All right.
I was talking to Toto. Or I love how our friend Otmar, Toto.
I love Otmar. I already loved Otmar, but I love him even more now.
It's Toto. So anyway, so that's just a strange name drop, if you ask me, for a narrative. And
the thing is, though, is it doesn't lead credence, right?
It doesn't. Not at all.
You know what? If you said to me, Grace, I think we should do this. And I go, I don't know, Todd. And then you go, I talked to, I don't know, some big name in the podcasting world. Then I go, oh, well, if that person said it, maybe that is what we should be doing on the podcast. They would know. They're an expert. They've been doing this. They have some insight. I'm not sure what this is convincing me of and why George Lucas is he watches Formula One just like me. I don't know why that expertise that he's bringing to this, maybe storytelling, maybe that's what the angle you're trying to get at. Like, yeah. I don't know, but then he should be an expert on how to do Drive to Survive, which also he should not be an expert on. So
no, there's a good chance I've been watching F1 longer than George.
Yeah, I just think I don't know. I just think it is always this like, and this has always existed that somehow I feel like we talk about this all the time. Sports to the lowest common denominator. I think now we have so many ways of sharing that information, and I think about like as somebody who watches soccer every 2 years for the World Cup, and that's it. And I don't really watch soccer other times unless some friend of mine is like, we should go see DC United. Okay, yeah, let's go see that, right? Like, I don't really follow soccer. So there are things I don't, like offsides, I do not understand. Like, I understand in words what offside is in soccer, but like to look at it and be like, oh, that guy's offside, I can't tell that in real time. I rely on the broadcasters, I rely on the referees and the graphic that shows you, here's the line that cuts through the guy, and this is when the defender wasn't in the right place. So I think it's okay that I don't understand, that I can still watch the World Cup and enjoy it and not really understand in real time what offsides is. It's okay. And I think the same can exist for Formula One, and I think you can explain it to a level that people will understand, and there are going to be people that are going to watch more technical stuff, which again, Formula One has its own channel that has, technical talks. It's, you can go on the YouTubes and watch all the technical talks. You can, again, we're beyond the 20 years ago when I used to have to like sit in Barnes and Noble and read Autosport because I couldn't afford to get a weekly publication from England. Right. And so we're beyond that. You can get this information. I don't know why we still treat the broadcast like, it has to be this, you can just round this and make it understandable for people and know that people who want more detail will get more detail. Yeah. And the people that don't want that level of detail will just ignore the graphic and move on with their life.
And
like
move
me.
On. Yeah.
I don't understand offsides. It's fine. I will just ignore that and move on. The ref gave him a card, we're moving on, right? Like, I don't need to understand that to enjoy what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you can't shake a stick without hitting some millennial that's Googling F1 history and making influencer videos like, they're revealing some sort of super secret about F1. It's like, good Lord.
Yes.
Do you know the most dangerous race in 1955 and 180 people? Yes, we knew that. You're not revealing anything new. The reality of it is, I agree with you in the sense that when I was getting into Formula One, or even if you think of when you did in year 2000, I think is when you got it.
2000.
So even when you got into it, nobody hand walked you through the process of how many what losing 2 points of aero meant.
Right.
Nobody explained that to you. You had to go and get an Autosport magazine. You read about it. But what Formula One was missing is those people that take the effort to go and seek those details out and to understand the sport are even more invested in the sport because I've taken the time to figure it out. Yeah. So I've taken the time to really figure out, and so have you, to figure out in Formula One. And look, I still don't know everything. That's why I still like listening to podcasts with Tom and interviewing luminaries of the sport and stuff like that. And I've interviewed a whole host of F1 luminaries and stuff like that, and I always learn something new. So, I'm heavily invested in that, and you're missing the point. If the graphic's confusing, then get a better graphic. But we know that's not what this is about.
No, right.
This is all about trying to shift the negative narrative away for the balance of the season until they can tweak their formula for next year and hopefully improve it. And I think, I'll be honest with you, I think these are kind of junior league errors from Stefano. If anyone in PR and marketing, if they've got a negative narrative, they need to get out ahead of that narrative and recast and solve for the negativity. It's like crisis management. Coming on there and saying, well, I was talking to, George Lucas, and he told me that this and this and that. That carries no weight. It's like, to your point, I go to you and say, Grace, I think that we ought to do this with the podcast. And he said, oh, well, who told you that? Carrot Top. And you're thinking, what's he got to do with, So I don't know, it's strange. So here we are at the section.
Okay.
So, Grace, if the sport genuinely believes the energy layer cannot be shown on television, is that an admission that the regulations are wrong for television? And what I mean for that is that it may be wrong for the racing or wrong for the teams or right for the engine manufacturers and right for Audi and right for Honda and all that. But is it wrong for TV ultimately?
No, I think you can explain anything. And the thing is that you had time. It's not like this just happened, right? You've known for years this was coming. Right. Figure out how you were going to do it, and I think that, there's this sport called Formula E. There's also the sport called IndyCar. Like, these people have already figured out how to tell us these, not the same construct, but similar enough constructs about the balance between, where the energy is coming from and how it comes on different. I don't know. Maybe watch a Formula E race and see how they explain this to people, right? Like, I think that they didn't do their homework ahead of time, and now it's just like, oh, people hate it. Like, you thought people were going to, they're not going to like it. But if this is what you have to do, because that's what the manufacturers want and that's what the teams agreed to, then it behooves you to figure out how you're going to do it. But don't start at Australia trying to figure that out, right? Like, you've had years to figure this out and test it and focus group it and, try it out in different places. We've seen it. We've seen it go dramatically the other way. No offense to IMSA, but, now they're showing all the, 47% energy left in the car, 42%. Oh, he's coming into the pit and he's going to top up, and get the energy back into, and you got to get the energy back in. It's an Aston Martin Vantage. There's no energy. It's just fuel. Yeah. But they won't call it fuel anymore. Everything's energy, right? Okay. Which has gone to the other extreme. But I think that's a good point. Like in sports car where you have multiple cars on the track at the same time, it is something different to wrap your head around, and it is harder to follow at first until you kind of get the hang of what the cars look like and how, you kind of have to watch a couple races and then you kind of go, okay, now I get it. Now I think they also do, the numbers are really easily visible, right? Because they're like the electronic numbers. I think there are ways that make sports car, that makes the IMSA and WAC easier in that sense, but it's going to take you a little bit to get it. People will get it. They're invested in this. I think to me, what you would ultimately, my goal would be is to how do you take Drive to Survive fans and not cater to them, but get them invested into the sport, which is what I think you're saying, right? Like, because it's always what you want. How do I get you the next step, right? How do I get you to go from just like, look at that car going fast to, oh, and then strategy, and then this happens, and then, oh, I see. And so then they called him in, and and they didn't change his tires. And like, you know what I mean? The strategy of Formula One is always going to be what makes Formula One interesting. And I think the thing is that they finally, after, again, 20 years of me kvetching about this, they finally got Bernie Collins, and they've got people that actually talk about strategy so they can explain that to you. You know what I mean? Like, Ruth says like 5 sentences and you're like, oh, that's why they're doing what they do, right? Like, that's what you need to lean into is somebody that understands this, that then can explain it to you. And you hired these people, so let them do their job and get a better graphics department. I don't know why this isn't. It is complicated, but people will surprise you and they can do it.
They absolutely. I did it. You did it. Everybody that's ever got into Formula One back in the day before DTS all did it. And the reality of that is that even the DTS people, the reason they really got invested or really enjoyed Formula One during COVID watching DTS is it's the people, it's the personalities. And like I told you, when I was young, I got a subscription to Autosport mailed to the U.S. It cost a fortune to do, but it's because I read all the interviews, and it wasn't until I started learning the people, the personalities, the conflicts in the paddock that I really got invested in Formula One, right? It's like, oh, Ron Dennis did this or said that, and you see them going back and forth with Flav and all these other people. But the reality of that is that the DTS, I mean, if I'm Liberty, if I'm Formula One, I got a wave of new customers, and it's all about creating the fly paper to keep them stuck on Formula One. It's retention, right? You're always going to have attrition. You're always going to have a wave. Let's say, a million people came in DTS, and you're going to lose a decent percentage of that. But it's retaining, and the best way to retain is to get invested and go deep. And in this case, I feel like they're still trying to. It's all about reach, and it's the thickness of a kiddie pool, and so that's offensive, like you said in the lead up to everyone. So let me ask you this question: Who's the actual customer, and does that answer change when you consider that Apple's the one paying for the U.S. rights?
Okay, so I think the thing is, though, is it's okay. Some people read People magazine. Some people are going to read Race Car Engineering. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. You don't have to make the people who read the People magazine about Formula One people read Race Car Engineering, and the Race Car Engineering people are not going to read the People magazine version of Formula One. It's okay. We can all live together and be just as invested in whatever part of this that we want to be invested in, right? That's fine. So Apple TV, I guess because then they have to sell it to a different audience than they did with ESPN, right? Like ESPN is sports. You just watch it, right? And people are just like, I definitely know people are just like, that's their like default channel, right? Like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do on a Saturday. Let's see what's on ESPN, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I think that streaming doesn't allow that sort of like, well, let's just turn this on and see what's happening kind of phenomenon. But I don't know why it always has to be, you're fine. You can have multiple levels of interest. And even as a fan, sometimes I'm just tired and I just want to watch like the People magazine version of Formula One. Sometimes it's a great race and I really want to get into it. But sometimes I'm like, this race isn't going to be very great. But it's fun. Let's see what, let's see if Julian Palmer and JPM are going to get in a fight in pit lane this week, right? Like sometimes that's my investment in the race. That's okay too. It's a long season and we all got a lot going on. It's okay.
So is there a version where you make the complexity the show instead of hiding it the way that cycling did with their power data or the NFL did with their tracking stats?
I think you have to make it there and then but I think the NFL here is a perfect example, right? Like you can watch so much NFL content on so many different levels. Sometimes I just want to go to a bar with some friends and just watch some touchdowns and watch some touchdown dances and that's it. And sometimes you really get into the game and you really get into the strategy or it's close to the playoffs or something like that. I think that's okay. I don't know why it has to be, I don't think we have to be afraid of telling people hard things. I guess
the complexity,
that is what. Just tell them hard things. It's okay. They'll either invest and be interested and be like clipping. What is that? Or they won't care and they'll drink their beer and they'll move on to who is Carlos Sainz being seen with this week. I don't know. Right? Like
it doesn't matter.
Fine.
It's like the NFL. When the broadcasters. When a team's on defense and they're running a nickel or dime, the broadcasters don't explain what a nickel or dime defense is every time it comes up. If I want to know that, I got to go look it up, and figure out what it is. And it's the same for this too. I mean, if clipping, deployment, and engine rankings are all invisible on the broadcast, how does anyone at home understand why Mercedes won the first 6 races?
Maybe we don't. So I will say that I learned the most about football. Football I watched all my life. From playing Madden. The tutorial of Madden taught me more about football in a way that I could actually understand than watching any football or having something explained to me because your POV is from the quarterback. And you're like, so now I can see all the things that quarterback is trying to figure out in 5 seconds. So just play some Madden. So maybe that's it. Maybe Formula One, the video game, needs some more tutorials. The video game,
there you go.
And then we would understand because that's definitely it's also how I understand scoring in tennis is from playing tennis. So
right.
It's fine.
It's fine. Anyway, well, let us know what you guys think. I mean, clearly he's just trying to reshape the narrative and that's
part of his job, right?
Part of his job. I get it.
He has to be the guy that says, no, we're trying to make it accessible for everybody. And that graphic was crap. But
remember when they changed to the hybrid and this I went on a huge rant about when they instantly changed the sound of a car to noise.
Yeah.
Which is a pejorative. And they used, all the press followed them. Just, hook, line, and sinker. The press would write out for them and the noise. And now everybody's talking about a V8's coming back and it's the sound again, right?
Yeah.
So it's safe to say sound again. This is the same thing. Nobody cares about how they drive the car. Nobody cares about all that data and all that stuff. It's just, how many passes are there? That's all they really care
you're
about.
You're watching the wrong sport. Always.
Yeah.
If the only thing you want is lots of passing, which is how you started this story, you're watching the wrong sport.
We're watching the wrong sport. Yeah, I agree.
It's just not, that's like drinking your Corona and hoping it's a Guinness. You're drinking the wrong beer. That's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Just get the Guinness and live your life.
All right. Let's see. Shall we move forward? Let's do. Okay.
Yeah. We go from one story about narrative to another story about narrative.
This is about narrative, too. All right. The Bahrain Grand Prix is going to be held in Malaysia. That's right. And the finale might end up at Imola, folks.
Yeah, I also heard Hockenheim getting batted around. That would also be great.
And I know what you're thinking.
What does it all mean, Basil?
Well, let's talk about it. So what's confirmed? F1 and the FIA, that would be MBS. You asked for miracles, I give you FIA. Confirmed that Sepang will host the Formula One Gulf Air Bahrain Grand Prix in Malaysia, not Bahrain, from October 2nd to the 4th. It's kind of squeezed in between Azerbaijan and Singapore.
Yeah.
I think the World Motorsport Council has to sign off on it. They will. The deal was struck between F1, the FIA, and the governments of Bahrain and Malaysia. Bahrain keeps its Grand Prix. Malaysia hosts the event for them. First F1 race at Sepang since 2007. Now, I have nothing against Sepang. I actually really like that circuit.
Yeah.
I don't know how it'll work with the new regulations, though. Those two really long
streets, right, because that's like its big thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how it'll work with it'll probably go down there and he'll be parroting George Lucas to assuage our fears about the power, because as the Belgian Grand Prix exposed. So it creates sort of this triple header with Baku and Singapore. So, I'm thinking, okay, so what is that? Is that, 9 race weekends and 11 weeks after the break? That's just too many.
I hope Charsley's ready.
I know. It's just too many. I think at some point Charsley's going to give me the middles.
Yeah, he's going to be like, I can't.
On one of those and said, okay, I don't want to do all those back-to-back, man. Your friendship isn't that precious to me.
I'm like, it'll be more precious come December and we can be friends again.
Yeah, right. So Domenicali said the call on Qatar on November 29th and Abu Dhabi on December 6th won't be made until sometime in the middle of September. Both of those events, I think, are sold out, though, so that's good. If those races cannot happen, he sort of suggested that the finale could be in Europe.
Yeah.
And Imola is on the list of options, but they haven't decided anything yet.
No, of course not.
I did see Gunther. I saw the Steiner saying, "Oh, that's bad. The weather's horrible in Europe at that time."
Yeah, it could be snowing.
Yeah.
It could be snowing. That'd be great.
That'd be fun. You and I saw the Pirellis with spikes on them. I have a picture of those.
Yeah, ice racing. It'll be great.
Yeah, it'd be great. He ruled out, though, adding another U.S., even though the whole paddock and all the gear and everything is going to be sitting in Las Vegas. We can easily squeeze one there. But he said, no, we don't want to go head-to-head with the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also like the people of Las Vegas. Now you care about the people of Las Vegas.
Right. He said that the reason Europe, because all the freight ends up going back there anyway, and all the custom logistics. I get it. Everything routes back to the UK anyway. So, I get it. Some of the context behind that. So, on one side, I'd say this is a really interesting piece of sports rights engineering. If you think about it, the sports, the race name and sanctioning fee have been separated from its geography.
Yeah.
Now, this is unprecedented. Bahrain is effectively paying to host it somewhere else, is what they're doing.
Yeah.
That explains why F1 fought really hard for it. I mean, a race isn't just a weekend. It's a promoter contract, it's broadcast inventory, sponsorship activations, a slot in the season count,
Yeah, and especially because many of the teams are run by Bonnie Raitt, right? It's important to be in the Middle East, right? Like they're forking, this isn't Germany we're talking about here.
Right.
It's the Middle East. They forking a lot of money into this
Middle
sport.
East puts a ton of money in this sport. So, I mean, McLaren, namely, it also gives, but I would say the context of it, I'd say that it also gives F1 a template it didn't have before.
Right.
If a promoter can't host, the event can be relocated and the commercial agreement survives. And the payments made to F1. I mean, that's genuinely a new phenomena, and I think it'll get used again for sure.
Always.
I mean, on one side, you have to admire the alacrity of F1 to be able to do this, and how fast F1 seems to be moving these days. Do you think this ever would have happened when Bernie owned it? No way.
Oh, but I think if it would have been Middle East money, I think that's the other thing too.
Well,
this isn't
maybe.
just money, right? Like this
It's
is Middle East money, right?
Yeah,
Again, this isn't Germany's money that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It is Bahrain's money. It is, UAE's money. That's very different than the money you and I carry. So I think that's definitely why we're in this situation.
Yeah, I'm curious if they considered the whole. I'm sure they have. If I was a team, I'd be worried about the cost side. A very late edition of an Asian triple header. That's a possible December race in Europe. I mean, from a freight and staffing bill, nobody had that in their budget. I mean, everyone's already managing to a cap, so I'm wondering what they'll do to cover that. That'll be interesting to see how they manage that increase in cost. And I think it's also worth noticing the sort of sequencing here. F1 is going to wait until middle of September, which is about as late as you possibly can to make that decision before it involves shipping all the championship around the world. So, the sequencing, that's kind of interesting too. So, skeptic check. Okay, so what's the assumption to attack? Well, it could be argued that this is F1 being really creative and flexible under a lot of pressure. And to be fair, I do respect that. The counterpoint to me is it's also F1 demonstrating that a Grand Prix is a portable financial instrument, if you think about it, right? Rather than like a national event. Remember those days?
If you have enough money.
It's the German Grand Prix. It's all about Germany. It's all about France. It's all, and now it's not a national thing at all. It's basically a financial instrument. It could be hosted anywhere with a name. Fans in Malaysia are buying tickets to somebody else's Grand Prix. It's not the Malaysian Grand Prix.
But why would you care? I mean, not you, but as a fan, why would that make it different? If all of a sudden there was a race in my backyard, I don't care that it's actually, somebody like they moved Miami to Maryland. Yeah, I'm going to go. And I don't care that it's actually Miami.
Yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, the fans in Malaysia got to be excited that the race is there. And that's great. It's just a strange thing to normalize. And I mean, I think once it's normalized, it stops needing a war to justify it.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the thing, though, is that I think we're also in an unprecedented moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is not something, I think that, I don't know what MotoGP has decided, because they did reschedule their race in Qatar to the end of the season. So I don't know what they've decided. I haven't followed up on that, because it also looks like they're not going to have a race in the Middle East at the end of the season. But I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the season, nobody thought at the end of the season we'd still be in this position. So I think that's also why they've had to get creative, because I don't know that I think if it was Germany, Formula One would have just been like, oh, that's on you. You have a war, you can't have the race? Too bad.
In the past, that's the way it would have been.
We want our money, but we don't care, right? That's on you. It is only because this is the Middle East. And the people didn't think we'd still be here in
but the contract surely would have had force majeure in there. And,
absolutely.
And Formula One wouldn't have got their money.
Right.
So I think if you really think about it, the second counterpoint of this is that the language around all of this is about preserving a race that would have otherwise not happened. I think the real truth in that sentence is preserving the revenue
Preserving the money, right, that we're not getting. Correct. They don't care about the race. That's not.
No.
That's a secondary concern.
It's preserving the revenue. And I feel like you don't have to be a road scholar to figure this out. I think it's a little, it's kind of insulting.
Especially this revenue, once again.
Yes. Yeah, it's all about keeping the Middle East money bags who are propping up the sport happy.
Right.
So they get their Bahrain Grand Prix in Malaysia. I don't know. I appreciate how quickly they tacked and were able to do this. I appreciate how they did that during COVID and they were able to still put on a season. And that's a noble charter. It really is. And I do respect that about Formula One. I feel like this could be a bridge too far. But anyway, so Grace. If a race can be moved and keep its name and its fee, what stops F1 from doing this for commercial reasons rather than out of necessity?
I mean, I guess nothing, but then why would anybody sign up to it? Right? Because some part of the sport is, the shine your country gets. So does Bahrain get the same shine by having its race in Malaysia? No.
Right, no.
So why would any country agree to, I'm going to have my race in my country, but if you want to move it, go for it. No, it doesn't. You know what I mean? And whether that shine is sports washing or not, it's still not going to help you. I'm just going to go with sports washing, right? It's not going to help your country sports wash your country's, global presence if it's in some other country. Right? It just isn't sustainable because why is anybody going to put any money into it?
Well, it's interesting because Bahrain, I mean, they'll tell you it's important and it's a shame they're not going to capitalize on all the hotels and meals and tourists and all that, but they don't need it. Whereas you take a race like Spa, they're counting on that national pride of the Belgian Grand Prix. They're very proud of their track, which they should be. It's one of the world's best racing tracks. And the Walloon region needs that revenue. They're banking on that. And so is the track. And track economics have to work here. And they're going to be banking on that. Whereas Bahrain's like, okay, well, that's fine. We'll just host it in Malaysia. We still get the naming rights and all that and the prestige of having the Bahrain Grand Prix. We'll just do it in Malaysia, but whatever. That's the kind of money you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
not having the hotels and tourism and all of the discretionary income spent in Bahrain. That doesn't, whatever. It's all the pride of having the Bahrain Grand Prix, right?
Right.
That's pride and ego driven more so than economics, in my mind. So, should the FIA maintain a standing contingency calendar? I was thinking about this.
Okay.
Given this is now 2 seasons in a row with that's been rewritten over geopolitical issues.
I mean, I don't know how you could. I mean, maybe you could for the Middle East. I mean, you'd have to take a guess, right? What countries do I think in the next 5 years might have geopolitical issues? Right?
East?
I don't know. No. That's a pretty big, because again,
It's a big canvas.
Speaking as an American, I don't think anybody thought we'd still be here in August, right? I think that I don't know how you decide on what geopolitical event, short of not going to win a world war, how you would decide that. So I don't think you could. I don't know how you would, unless you just now start calling everything the European Grand Prix, right? Because it used to be when countries had multiple races in their country. One would be, the Italian
the
Grand Prix.
The Spanish Grand Prix.
Right, and the other one would be the European Grand Prix, Valencia, right? So we'll just call everything the European Grand Prix, and you'll just have to wait to find out where we're going to be. Yeah.
I always feel like maybe they ought to have 2 or 3 choice tracks in temperate climates.
So reserve reserve
like,
drivers, right?
Like a contingency calendar saying, okay, if all that goes to hell, we're going to go to Malaysia in the Middle East. If all that goes to hell in Asia, we're going to go to Imola, or we're going to go to Qatar. Or,
so we'll call them like the Nico Hulkenberg Grand Prix, right? It's the super sub.
The super sub.
That'll do great in any car, and we're just going to have those tracks. We'll just have 5 of them, and we'll just locate them in different geographic areas, and if something happens, we'll just
go there,
hop over there.
I feel like they need a contingency calendar that we can always default to.
Yeah.
then we can name it whatever, So if they're going to default, Malaysia, it'll never be the Malaysian Grand Prix. One year it's the Bahrain, the next year it could be Qatar, and the next year it could be some other, who knows.
Boy, that would be, as if it isn't hard enough for me to remember, who won in Japan in 2024. Now I have to remember who won the Bahrain Grand Prix that is actually in Malaysia. That's some random trivia there that people are going to have to live with.
It is.
I don't
have that. It totally is.
That's craziness.
All right. Fair enough. Enough of that crap. Let's turn the page, shall we? Segment 3. Haas. Familiar with them? Haas
I've
F1
heard of
team.
them. Yeah.
Me too.
Komatsu. Yeah.
They can't spend to the cap.
Oh, that's a problem.
And what does that say about what the cap has become? Well, let's dive in, shall we? Let's dive into it a little bit. So, bottom line is, Komatsu said that plainly that Haas is really not operating at the budget cap, and that the funding the team is one of his top priorities on his job list. The 2026 cap is $215 million, excluding driver salaries and the top 3 highest salaries in the team. That was to accommodate the Adrian Newey's, who was making astronomical salaries. Haas runs roughly, give or take, 400 people.
Right.
Other teams are upwards of 1,000 or more people.
Okay.
Haas sat 4th in the constructors after 2 rounds, thanks to Ali, finishing 7th in Melbourne and 5th in China. And then they haven't scored in the last 5 races and sit 7th at 21 points. Ayu said that it's not fair on his people, that it's like fighting with both hands tied behind their back, and that the fix is revenue rather than effort. And he was very explicit that this is on him, not on their engineers. And he's talking about upgrades and all that. I think it's worth noting that this is the same underlying issue that was behind the whole split with Steiner. You remember that?
Right. I do.
Same issue. And that was after the hybrid regulation changes.
I don't know. Or he's just calling Gene cheap.
Well, yeah. You could say that. So I was thinking about all this in context, and I was thinking, all right, so cost cap, let's talk about it. So the cost cap was sold as a ceiling to stop the big teams from running away with the championship because they spend a lot more than the small teams. And it's, I would argue now, it could be quietly have become the floor, not the ceiling.
Right.
If you can't reach it, you're structurally uncompetitive, and no amount of clever engineering is going to fix that.
Yes, and then it doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't fix anything.
Right. And this is now, this inevitably, Formula One, they do this every time they come out with like this, and then it's exploited, and then it turns up being a train wreck.
Right.
What was going to be the ceiling on cost cap to prevent overspending has now become the floor of a bare minimum. And a regulation reset only makes it worse, not better. In year one of a new formula, the return on just raw development volume,
right?
I mean, it's enormous. And that's exactly the season a 400-person team gets exposed, which is what exactly we're seeing right now with Haas, I mean, look at the shape of Haas's season. Excellent start, then straight line down as everybody else developed around him. And I don't think, I don't think it's a mistake. I think I was correct. I don't think it's a mistake from the design office, but it's a stark reality of the spending curve.
Yeah.
And if you compare it to the under end of the grid, Laurent Mekies is saying that the cap is going to slow Red Bull down, in the second half because the 2 big packages they already brought.
That's it.
Yeah, that's already got the team hitting their ceiling.
Right.
So you talk about the haves and have-yots. I mean, that's quite a difference.
Yeah.
And Haas can't see the ceiling from where they're standing at all.
Right.
So I think there's also this whole uncomfortable structural point is an issue too. Cadillac just paid enormous entry fee to join the grid, and the new money came into the sport at the top, not at the bottom where it was really needed. Right. If you think about it, because that's
Yeah,
all prize
yeah.
money, right? So that all
Sure.
goes in the dole, and it goes, and so that goes to the team with the most points, and that money goes to the top.
Right.
So as the prize money, speaking of prize money, that's a real loop, right? Haas needs results to earn a bigger share of the prize money, and needs money to get those results, and it doesn't have the money to get those. It's a Mobius loop, and it keeps them continuously in the rent cycle.
Right.
And a reason, in my mind, that Gene either needs to pony up or shuffle out. So,
all right.
Having said all that contextually,
sure.
I was thinking, all right, what's the skeptic check here? What's the assumption? All right, so the assumption to possibly attack is that Haas is underfunded because Gene won't spend.
Right.
Okay. I think that's partly true. But the deeper issue is really revenue, not Gene's willingness to invest. No works manufacturer, no title sponsor of any real scale, prize money position.
Meanwhile, if I'm Komatsu, I'm like, I brought you Toyota. What do you want from me? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think I've done pretty good by this team, and I'm going to need you to pull your weight there, Gene. Right?
Right. The prize money position really kind of just reflects the results, and the team can't achieve a better results without the money. So it's this loop. And I think maybe a counterpoint to that counterpoint is, Haas has been in F1 since 2016. 10 years is a very long time for the commercial function never to have been built at this team. And I think that's or tried to be built and hasn't been as successful as it needed to be. And at some point, structural becomes a choice, which is kind of the partly true portion of this. I think structural issue becomes sort of a choice, and that's why I think this is where Gene, what he's willing to put in, and that's why. And I'll be honest, and I'm just saying this. I don't know Gene at all. And I don't dislike him at all. I praise him for coming to the sport. But I got to say, that's why I'm advocating he should cash out before the brand is reduced any further.
Yeah.
Right. The fervor for getting to F1 is still hot. There are lots of people who buy that team at a premium dollar.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But if you get it down to where it's on literal life support, that's going to be a problem, kind of a la Force India days.
Right. You want it. I think you should sell it to Michael Andretti. Screw those guys for not letting him in and say,
there you go.
I cut you a deal, Michael. Problem solved.
Why not? Sell it to Chip Ganassi.
But Chip's not, it's not going to be as, politically interesting to sell it to Chip Ganassi.
And Roger wouldn't do it because he's got IndyCar. So
IndyCar, he literally owns all of it. I don't think he needs to be owning any other part of Formula One. No. But I think that for the intrigue, for my popcorn watching, the People magazine part of me, let's just sell it to Michael Andretti and let's show those boys what they, what they're missing out on.
I like it. So, Grace, should F1 mandate a minimum spend the way other leagues run a salary floor alongside a cap?
Well, you could.
I will say this, folks. When Bernie owned the sport and a team wanted to come in, they had this whole financial review of the backers of this team. And Bernie used to say they need to have somewhere around $1 billion in liquidity.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's going to take to come in and have a meaningful shot. At the time, a meaningful shot at Formula One of having any sort of modicum of success and being able to survive in Formula One. So that was like a litmus test that Bernie did back when he owned the sport, before he sold it to Liberty. So do you think that teams like Cadillac, okay, so here's your cap, but here's your floor. You got to spend this much or you're never going to have any shot at survival in Formula One.
I think the thing is that unlike other sports, I don't know that Formula One needs to enforce it in the same way, but I think, like to what you were saying, somebody should tell you that's the case.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you aren't willing to spend, would you say $1 billion, right? If you aren't willing to spend $1 billion, you will never be successful. So don't get into my sport and ruin it if you don't have $1 billion, right? Like, so I don't know that in the same way it needs to be enforced like you do in other sports. But yeah, they're always going to be cheap, right? Like that's how they got to where they are. And so if the problem is that Gene is cheap and Gene isn't, running the pavement. Because in Formula One, I mean, short of Lance Stroll, there was a part of me that's like, just go find 10 other Lance Strolls and Lawrence Strolls, not Lance Strolls. Sorry, Lawrence Strolls, and let them each own a team, and let's just have the rich guys do this, and we'll see what we get. But yeah, I think that somebody has to have some idea of what it is. I guess enforcement, you'd have to enforce it, but
yeah, I
don't know that that's as necessary. But you do have to know, because Formula One is so expensive and is so sponsor driven in a way basketball or football is not.
I was thinking, is the honest answer to this whole thing is that the grid has 11 teams and enough money to fund about 9 of them properly?
Okay, so then let's get rid of Red Bull and we can get...
Now, back in the day, before Andretti and all that came in, you had Toto and other team bosses adamantly against it. Toto. Adamantly against it. And at the time, I thought, because they don't want to divide the prize money more than they already have to, money, right? And on the flip side, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'll give them benefit of the doubt and say, well, they knew that, you could put 11 teams, but really the sport only generates enough money to properly fund about 9 of them.
Right.
And maybe that was the point they were arguing all along, Maybe I was wrong. I was being too harsh with Toto. Yes. If you're Komatsu, does saying this publicly pressure your owner, or does it scare off sponsors you actually need?
Well, I'm sure Komatsu hopes that it's the first, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's the former. If it's the latter, well, buddy, you should never have said this out loud. So,
yeah.
I think that it has to be said. Komatsu didn't say it if it wasn't trying to send a message. So we're now trying to figure out what message was he trying to send, because for sure he wouldn't have said it if there wasn't a reason. I do think some of it is cover his own behind, right? Like, he still has to keep employed even if Haas falls into the ocean. And Gene, you need to be hitting the pavement. We need to be out there doing more.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe Gene won't let him. Maybe he's like, oh, I got this great sponsor. And Gene's like, no, I don't want to put them on my car. I don't know, right? Like, there's definitely some message between Komatsu and Gene Haas that's going on.
I agree. Maybe I was now bumping up against what Gunther was bumping up against.
Right. That there's something there that maybe we don't know about.
Something going on there. Don't know what it is.
That's
but
right.
Oh, no, it all went wrong.
Yep. Something going on. All right.
That's right.
Let's change topics. Hey, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time for Alvin's Cats. This is where we talk about stuff that really doesn't have much to do with F1, but tangentially it could.
Yeah.
Just like Alex Albon's Cats. All right,
That's
Grace.
right. All right,
what do you got for us?
So first, I just would like to say, I know everybody going into the summer break, I love that now the summer break has led in with Hungary, because there are only 3 things that are true in this world, and that is death, taxes, and McLaren doing well Hungary. So
you didn't listen to Paul and I last week on the review, I'm sure, but we talked about that a little bit.
Don't get too excited, people.
Yeah, is this Grace's Hungary theory once again true?
Always true. I mean, the Ron Dennis, like Kimi Räikkönen did well at Hungary, right? Like, that was not great. Yeah. So, death, taxes, McLaren at Hungary. So don't get too excited when we come back at the end of summer break.
That's what I was asking. Is this McLaren doing their midsummer massive improvement and development like we've seen, or is it just Hungary and they do well?
It's just Hungary. I'd like to see how we do at Zandvoort, and then I will feel better. Because Zandvoort's a very different kind of track. So, but they always do well in Hungary, so people don't get too excited.
Yeah.
I did think that the funniest Albon's Cats that I've seen this week was, again, it's tangentially related. Thank you, Mikasa. So the race, right? So they do both Formula One content and MotoGP content. And so the MotoGP, so one of the big stories is that Maverick Vinales, who is sort of like, you're just waiting. Any minute now, he's like great, but inconsistent or unreliable. But I guess it's kind of like the Williams, what we all feel towards Williams. in a rider, right? Like Maverick, come on, you can do it. We all believe in you that you can do it, right? But so Maverick Vinales is injured, and now Gunther Steiner runs Tech 3, and he wants him out, and he doesn't want him racing for the rest of the season, and he doesn't want to sign his contract for next season either, which I guess I can understand, but makes me sad, right? So,
I mean, Maverick is
Prodigious talent.
He's a prodigious talent.
Exactly. But, and again, this is the kind of injury that Marc Marquez can come back from. The rest of us cannot, right?
Yes.
And so for Maverick Vinales, I think it'll just be a couple weeks and I'll be fine. When Marc Marquez wasn't fine after a couple weeks, you're not going to be okay. Okay. It's your shoulder. So, but anyway, so they're at the last race and they're talking, so they're outside the motorhome. Like they do that on the race too, right? Like you're standing outside the motorhome of whoever you're talking about. But as they're talking about the downfall of Maverick Vinales, he walks out of the motorhome and they all make eye contact. So it's like the greatest photo bomb ever. So if you go, you don't even have to watch the whole podcast. They did a short of it, of course, but it's just great that they just show him as they're just like, oh, Maverick Vinales, I don't know, things aren't looking so good. And here he comes down the steps. Couldn't have been more perfectly timed. Like, hey guys, what's up? What are you talking about here? How's it going?
Right.
And then you can kind of see for the rest of the show. Good. Thanks a lot. Cool. Was that what you were saying about pets? That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks. Anyway, so watch the short. It's pretty funny. And then if you do watch the whole thing, you can see that Val's kind of the whole time looking around because, of course, at some point he's going to show up again. And you're just going to be like, yeah, Gunther thinks he's a piece of crap. And he's going to be right there again while you're talking about him. Right. So check out that short on the race. And then what we were actually looking for was the race just an interview with Flavio Briatore, of which I don't know how... I don't know how everybody at Alpine isn't wearing pirate shirts a la Seinfeld and the Low Talker, because I swear, he's speaking. So I've only watched the first part of it, and he's talking about getting Gucci at Alpine. And I'm like, did you just say pine nuts? What are we talking about here? I swear I can't understand. All I can hear is Italian. This guy's Italian. That guy's Italian. And I'm like, what are we talking about? And it's not that he doesn't. I don't know. He just mumbles. He's a low talker. I just don't know how everybody doesn't have pirate shirts, because I'm like, we had to turn on the subtitles so I could follow the context of what was going on, because if I wasn't actively watching him, I'm like, I don't know what we're talking about. So
it's Flavor Flav.
It's a good interview, I'm sure. So I look forward to listening to it, but it's really going to have to be a time when I can sit down and watch it. It's not something I can have on in the background.
He said the Alpine team's worth $5 billion, and Renault overall, the Renault Corporation, is worth $8 billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, and that's why I say, Gene, cash in.
That's right. Do it now, right?
Right. Do it now while it's got value.
I don't know, but I think that it was just funny.
That is funny.
I was just like, good, great. Okay.
Good
Anybody
stuff.
that if you want a full dose of the Flavio Briatore experience,
that's it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
There it is.
All right. You want some no shit headlines?
Sure.
I only found a couple. The first one was Lewis Hamilton gets adorable new puppy a year after death of beloved Roscoe, as Kim Kardashian shares sweet pic.
Aw. Is it another bulldog? What kind of dog?
No. It's like a lab, I think.
Aw, that's nice.
Named Halo. It's cute. Super cute.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Will Angela have to carry Halo down the steps? I think that's the question. Maybe that's in her contract. I won't carry your dogs down the steps.
Yeah, I can't
anymore.
remember if it was a retriever or a lab. It's one or the other. Okay. She ain't going to be carrying a 60, 70-pound dog up and down the steps.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure that Roscoe was also a pretty heavy dog.
Yeah,
he was 60 pounds, but he was a big guy.
He was pleasantly plump.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, I would write into my contracts that you can only get another dog if it can go down those spiral steps. I ain't carrying those short little dogs down those steps again.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not in my contract.
And this kind of caused a stir. Max Verstappen and Toto Wolff holiday photos fueled all new fresh speculation. The photos I saw was Toto with his wife,
yes,
Kimi Antonelli, Max, and his significant other. Oh my gosh, I can't.
Simon Lansby.
No, Max is significant, the mother of his child.
I know, but it's always Simon Lasby that you're like, that's his name. Yes.
Yeah.
But usually it's Simon whose name you blank on.
Yeah, Simon. It is usually Simon's. So anyway, so here you got Max, Toto and Kimi out vacationing, and all the AI generated memes of George sitting at home in tears and not invited and everything. They were pretty harsh. It was pretty funny.
I always think there was an interview. I can't remember after what race it was that George was like, it was George and Lewis, and George's like, "Oh, you're going out tonight," and Lewis is like, "I'm not inviting you out with me." Yeah, I am going out tonight, but you are not coming, George. And it's very clear that that's the conversation.
That's it. Yeah, he's not going.
You're not coming along, buddy.
Funny. All right. Hey, let's do some mail.
You've got mail.
We got a really nice mail from Warren Butler. Not Warren Buffett, Warren Butler.
I mean, this would be a different podcast if we had Warren Buffett as a listener.
It probably would be a different podcast.
He would be quite the Patreon supporter for sure.
Yes, he would. Yeah, he would. Warren said, hi, Todd, Grace, and Paul. Congratulations on your 1,000th episode. You guys were podcasting pioneers, and you've remained true to your concept of mates in a bar talking about Formula One. That's right. Sure. That goes all the way back to 2005, Warren. You're right. I've heard other podcasts say that since, but we've always said that. I've loved listening to your chats for over 15 years. Wow, Warren, that's awesome. Your podcasts have kept me company on countless commutes and walks and often lifted my spirits. Oh, that's really sweet of you to say. Okay. When I first started listening, you were the only regular podcast covering F1, even here in the UK. So different now. But for me, the Park for May remains a fixture in my playlist every week. I love your perspectives, humor, and yes, the occasional insights. Thank you.
That's all I got.
Here's to many more episodes. Very sweet of you, Warren. Thank you so much for saying that. That's very sweet of you. Grace is sending up balloons and hearts. If you watch us on YouTube. Very sweet of you. He said a couple questions for you. This is a tough one. The first one, Warren, I'm going to tell you, this is tough because you know our subject, right? Our subject is all about, massive
controversy.
So yes, it's all about that. But he says, his question, Grace, is, what's been the favorite story you've covered all these years?
Gosh, I don't know. I feel very unprepared for this. Unprepared for this question. There seems like there's so. I think the craziest story that we have ever. I still think Crashgate has to be pretty high. When we all found out about Crashgate, because I still think that is speaking of the PKs, right? That is by far the bizarrest of the stories of what's going on out there. But I think there's probably a lot of. I think
Spygate was pretty big.
It was definitely the biggest. That's what started this. Spygate. And I think the whole, court battle 1, Lewis is like, I don't know anything. Court battle 2, he's like, wait, why don't I know anything, right? So
I think it's probably, for me, Warren, it's the majors. I think Spygate was huge. I think Spankgate was huge.
Why do you have to bring that up? Can we never talk about that? If you're a new fan and you don't know about that, don't Google that. Don't look it up. You don't want to know. Trust me. It's okay. Just let it go.
Yes.
Fast forward.
I think that one
We're moving
was
on.
big, and then Crashgate. I think those were, Spygate was interesting because how it all unraveled and the details and how it ensnared, all the different people and how Alonso comes out of that squeaky clean and
somehow.
And that was a pretty interesting. Some of the things I covered was when I go to races, interview drivers and team people and all that. But that wasn't necessarily a story. I generated that content. But for us covering a story, I think Spygate was such a huge thing. It was $100 million fine back in 2007 money, folks. So it was $100 million fine, most, or at least half of that offset by the prize money, disqualified from drivers and championships. And I and Grace have argued that McLaren has never really recovered until just recently when Zach came in and they started turning things around.
I think that's the other thing too, is that I think for me as a McLaren fan, last season was I always have I usually have both feet in the doldrums. But even bringing a tippy toe out of the doldrum, it really took me a long time to really, we were going to do it last year. So I also think that was an interesting phenomenon that I never thought was going to happen. I just thought, I'm a McLaren fan, and now I'm just going to, Hungary's happen, and then I'm going to go to Zandvoort, and I'm just going to go back in the doldrums, and it'll be fine. That's where I live.
Yeah. And Warren says the other question says to the current day. He said, how can George Russell reset? The guy badly needs a summer break and doesn't seem to be getting any love from anyone. It's starting to resemble Damon Hill's 1995 Williams season.
Let's hope not. I think he has to have the support of the team, and that's not something that we have insight into, right? He has to know. I mean, I think that's how we all, on a human level, I don't agree with my boss all the time, but I know that my boss always has my back, right? And that if I said something, I mean, there have definitely been times that my boss has said, that's not the official stance. And I'm like, no, you're right. That's just Grace's stance. That's fine. But you really have to know who you work with and trust them and trust that they are going to not just uproot things every 5 minutes and that they're really going to support you. I mean, I think in football speech, right? Like, you don't want the coach to lose the locker room, right? So you need to, if you're George, that's what I'd really do, because I believe in myself. I wouldn't be in this sport if I didn't believe in myself, right? And my own ability. Right. But you have to have Toto. You have to have the team, and the locker room has to be behind you. And if you don't have that, it's going to be very hard for George to ever rise above that in his current situation again. So that's it's not so much. I think George needs the reset. I think that I think of there's the in Drive to Survive where Zach Brown takes Oscar Piastri and they like hop in his it's just a collection of McLarens that Zach Brown has, right? Like it's just buddy time they spend together, right? But I think, right, like you might do with kids or something, like, you know what, this is just going to be me and child number two's day together, right? Because I have more than one child and they're tired of splitting their time. So I think Toto and the team just really need to all get behind George and support George, or not support George, and then they can all move on with their lives. But
I think it's going to be the latter. I don't think he's going to get that. So, and if you remember, Warren, I've said several years ago that I think George, and it's not because I'm like a huge George Russell. I don't know the guy. I've never met him, never talked to him. Maybe he's a prickly personality and difficult character. I have no idea. But what I see on track, I said many years ago, I said that George should have been brought into Mercedes 2 years earlier than he was, or at least by far 1 year earlier than he was.
Right.
And I said that he got here, he should have been brought in earlier. And I said that even last year I was talking about you could see this coming, and I made a point last year and even kind of the year before that everything Lewis did was like pooping bricks of gold, and George just doesn't seem to get the love at Mercedes. Right. Even 2 years ago I was saying it, and then they brought Kimi in, and now it's George who. I think I don't think George is long for the world. I said that a few podcasts ago. I think his days in the top teams could be numbered. I think if I was George, I would be clamoring and knocking on Lawrence's door to go to Aston. I don't know how he turns it around, because I don't think he's going to get that 100% of team behind him that Grace is advocating for. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. And it's time for him to go. Yeah. Yep.
And then it's very much the Lewis Hamilton Toto conversation of like, I don't have 5 years for this and I'm out.
Yep. Yeah, and if
right.
George wants a longer career in Formula One, it's not going to happen there, because the first shot he's got at Max or somebody like that, then George is going to be gone. And I think George, if they have to buy him out of the contract, he'll cash out. But I think if George wants to remain in F1, he's got to find an Audi, an Aston Martin, something that he can go to, My concern is if he doesn't get a position there and Carlos leaves, then he may end up having to go back to Williams, and that's going to be a longer struggle for him. So he's not going to be at that top team riding high on yachts and caviar, and he's going to be back down to more grassroots. And I think George would do it, but I think for whatever reason, and I think he dog whistles the fact that his car is the one with all the problems and he doesn't have straight line speed like Kimi does and all that. And you get all this stuff happening in a team when that disparity happens. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a clawing back at this point. I hope I'm wrong. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
I hope I do. So, anyway. Thanks so much for the kind words, Warren. I appreciate it. And
absolutely.
we will be back next week to do all this over again. I'm sure there'll be some news. If there isn't news, we'll find news and we'll talk about it back then. But until next week when we come back to do it all again, this is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camera, saying so long, Grace.
See you next week.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. It's not what I feel I've got to prove at all. I don't really want to prove anything. I started as an amateur with no idea or no intention of becoming world champion. I was curious to find out what it was like to drive a car fast, to drive on a certain circuit, to drive a certain type of car.